isn't buried, it's coded. Decode the strange. In the circuits of the unknown, where the logic breathes and the data flows, we question what the code has shown and spark the light when no one goes. Clearly learned voices collide.
Okay, I want to try a little experiment. I want you to just, for a second, close your eyes.
Okay.
Ignore the commute, ignore the laundry, all of it. Now, picture an angel.
Yeah.
What is the very, very first image that pops into your head?
I'm going to go out on a limb here.
Yeah.
And I think I know exactly what you're seeing.
Oh, I bet you do. It's probably a chubby little baby, right? A cherub with tiny little wings. Maybe he's floating on a cloud playing a harp.
Mm-hmm. The Renaissance baby.
Exactly. Or, if you're feeling a bit more classical, maybe it's a woman. A beautiful, serene woman in a flowing white nightgown.
Very peaceful. Very calm.
Very safe. It's the Hallmark card version of divinity. Comforting. It's nice.
And it is almost completely wrong.
Huh.
Or at the very least, it's a very modern, a very sanitized invention. That's what I like to call the domesticated angel.
Domesticated is such a polite way of putting it, because when you actually start to dig into the source material, and I mean the deep cuts, the really ancient texts, the picture you get is not nice. Honestly, it's kind of traumatizing.
It really is a shock to the system. I think for anyone who encounters the Bible accurate descriptions for the first time, you have this moment where you realize that somewhere along the line, we took something that was meant to represent cosmic power and awe and, frankly, terror.
Undiluted terror.
And we turned it into a porcelain figurine for the mantelpiece.
We're talking about things that are described as wheels within wheels, just covered in eyeballs.
Right. Not exactly cuddly.
Not at all. We're talking about creatures with 4 different faces, a lion, an ox, an eagle, a human spinning around in this fiery, chaotic vortex.
And seraphim.
Oh, the seraphim. The name itself, it literally translates to the burning ones. And they're just screaming so loud it shakes the foundations of the temple. These are not things you'd want on your Christmas tree.
If you saw one of these beings standing in your bedroom at night, you wouldn't feel comforted. You would think you were having a complete psychotic break.
100%. And that right there is why the first thing they almost always say in the texts is, fear not.
It's a command, not a suggestion.
Right. Because the default natural human reaction is absolute mind-shattering terror. So that's our mission today. We are going to take that porcelain figurine and we are going to smash it. We're going to see what's really underneath.
We're going to undomesticate the angel.
We're moving beyond the halo. We have to look at these beings as cosmic architects, as terrifying warriors.
As psychological projections.
And even, as potential extraterrestrials.
That's the fun part.
It is. And this isn't just Sunday school, right? We're looking at everything. We've got ancient Mesopotamian winged bulls on the docket.
We have the Forbidden Book of Enoch.
We have Gnostic jailers, quantum physics, and yes, we are absolutely going to talk about UFOs. But before we get to the aliens, we need to ask the big question, the fundamental one. Why?
That really is the core of this deep dive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why do humans, across practically every culture and every time period, have this desperate need for an intermediary?
An agent. A middleman.
Exactly. Why do we need something to stand between us and, well, the infinite?
Is it just because we're lonely in the universe? Is that it? Or is it because the infinite is actually terrifying and we need a buffer to look at it?
I think it's deeper than just loneliness. I think it's about managing the sheer terror of a universe that is too vast, too powerful, and too strange for our minds to comprehend on their own.
So we need a face.
We need a face we can look at without going blind.
Okay. So let's unpack this. And I think the place to start is right at the beginning. Not with the wings, not with the fire, but with the word itself.
The etymology.
Yeah, because words have power, right? And the word angel actually gives the whole game away right from the start.
It really does. Etymology is destiny, in a way. If you look at the roots, our English word angel comes from the Greek angelos.
Okay.
And angelos is just a direct translation of the older Hebrew word malak.
Malak.
Now here's the kicker, and this is what usually surprises people. Neither of those words refers to a species.
Wait, what do you mean?
They aren't the name of a type of creature. It's not like saying human or dog.
So angel isn't what they are.
No, it's a job description.
A job description.
It strictly and only means messenger.
So it's like calling someone a courier or a mailman. It tells you what they do, not their biology.
Exactly that. A malak in the ancient world could be a human envoy sent by a king to deliver a message to a neighboring country. It could be a prophet, or it could be a divine spirit. It simply describes the function.
The function of bridging a gap.
You have a sender, you have a recipient, and you have the malak in the middle carrying the information.
That feels almost bureaucratic. It strips a little bit of the magic away, doesn't it?
Initially, maybe it does, but it gets very complicated very quickly. Because in the really early texts of the Hebrew Bible, this whole idea of identity gets incredibly blurry. You have this concept of the malak Yahweh, the messenger of the Lord. And in some of these really old stories, the distinction between the messenger and the sender completely collapses.
Okay, give me an example. I need to wrap my head around this.
The perfect one is the story of Moses and the burning bush. The text says, the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within the bush.
Right. An angel in a bush.
But then, literally the very next verse says, God called to him from within the bush.
Oh.
So, who is in the bush? Is it the angel or is it God?
It sounds like the text can't make up its mind.
Or, and this is the interesting part, the text is trying to describe something that doesn't fit into our neat little categories of identity.
Yeah.
Happens with Gideon too. He's having a whole conversation with an angel, and then suddenly the text just shifts and says, and the Lord looked at him and said, the messenger just becomes the deity.
Wow. That is trippy. It's like the angel is a temporary mask that the deity puts on to interact with the world.
That's a brilliant analogy.
Like a divine hazmat suit.
A hazmat suit for God. It's perfect. It's a localized manifestation. A way for this infinite, untouchable God to compress himself into a form that can fit inside a human room without, blowing the walls off.
It's all about making the divine legible to human beings.
Precisely.
Which brings us to the visuals. Because if the word just means messenger, and sometimes it's really just God in a mask, where on earth did we get the wings?
Ah, the wings.
You said earlier that the original ones didn't have them.
Not at all. And this is one of those things that really shocks people who grew up looking at Renaissance art. If you go back to the earliest Christian art, we're talking the catacombs of Rome, 2nd, 3rd century angels just look like guys.
Just dudes.
Literally just men. They're wearing the standard Roman tunica and pallium. They have no halos. They certainly do not have wings. They look exactly like Roman couriers.
Because they're trying to communicate messenger.
The visual language had to match the job description. If you put wings on a figure in the 2nd century, a Roman citizen wouldn't think angel. They would think Nike.
Right, the shoe brand.
Well, the Greek goddess of victory that the brand is named after. Yeah.
Of course.
Nike was a woman with massive feathery wings. Eros, or Cupid, was a winged god of love. Hermes, the messenger of the gods, had little wings on his sandals.
So the whole wing aesthetic was already taken. It was a pagan trademark.
Exactly. But then, as Christianity shifts from being this small, persecuted Jewish sect to becoming the official religion of the entire Roman Empire, it starts to absorb the visual language of the culture around it. It has to compete.
It needs its figures to look powerful, divine.
Right. And nothing says divine power in the ancient world like those massive statues from the Middle East. You know the ones I'm talking about.
The ones with the bull bodies, the ones guarding the gate.
The Lamassu, yes. This is absolutely crucial for understanding where the weird angels come from. In ancient Mesopotamia, Assyria, Babylon, you had these colossal protective spirits guarding the palace gates.
I've seen pictures of them in museums. They are intimidating. They look like they could just crush you without even thinking about it.
And that was the point. They were 20-foot-tall stone statues. They had the head of a human king, the body of a bull or a lion, and massive eagle wings. They were symbols of power, speed, intelligence, divinity.
So the Christian artists needed a way to signal to the viewer, hey, this guy in the tunic isn't just some random guy. He's from up there.
Exactly. He has the speed of an eagle. He has the strength of a bull. How do you show that?
You grab the visual shorthand that everyone already understands. Wings mean from the sky. Wings mean fast. Wings mean not human.
Precisely. It was a remix, a cultural collage. You take the Roman tunic of a messenger, you add the wings of the pagan goddess Nike to show their spiritual beings, you throw in the protective, intimidating vibe of the Mesopotamian Lamassu.
And the halo.
And eventually you add the halo, which was originally the sun disk symbol from the god Apollo or Helios, to symbolize divine light. And suddenly, over the course of a few hundred years, you've created the angel that we all recognize today.
It's just fascinating that this image we think is so uniquely holy is actually a Frankenstein's monster of pagan symbols and artistic necessity.
It absolutely is. But that's just the pretty version.
Yeah.
That's the domestic version. When we go back to the texts themselves, before the artists standardized everything, the descriptions are much, much darker.
Okay, let's go there. Let's peel back that layer of beautiful paint and look at the undomesticated angel. Because you said earlier, these things aren't just nice guys. We have this idea of the guardian angel, right?
Right.
The personal bodyguard who helps you find your car keys and keeps you safe in traffic.
We do, and that is a very comforting thought. But it is not the primary role of angels in the scripture, not by a long shot. In the texts, their main job is often as agents of divine judgment. They are enforcers.
Like a cosmic SWAT team.
Or worse. I mean, think about the Passover story in Exodus. We usually focus on the plagues, but the final, most devastating plague, the death of the firstborn, wasn't a disease. It wasn't a bacteria.
No.
The text describes a specific entity, the destroyer.
That sounds like a comic book villain.
It functions like a targeted lethal intelligence, a being that moves through the entire land of Egypt, discriminating between the houses that have the blood mark on the door and the houses that don't. That is a terrifying level of agency.
It's cold. It's precise.
Or take the account in the Book of Kings, where the Assyrian army is besieging Jerusalem. The city is about to fall. The text says the angel of the Lord went out and, in one night, killed 185,000 soldiers.
Hold on. One angel. Do you say 185,000 people?
One angel, 185,000 soldiers.
That's not a guardian angel. That's a weapon of mass destruction. That's a tactical nuclear event.
It's a display of absolute, overwhelming, terrifying power. And it challenges our modern sensibilities because we want angels to be benevolent. But in these stories, they are the localized executors of divine will. And sometimes that will is total destruction.
Like with Sodom and Gomorrah.
Exactly. The angels go in, they perform an act of mercy, they get Lot and his family out. But then they're the ones who initiate the destruction of the entire plain. They pull the trigger.
It reminds me of the Islamic perspective, which the source material goes into quite a bit, the concept of the malaika.
Yes, and the Islamic view is so fascinating because it creates a very distinct, very clear category for angels. In Islamic theology, you have humans made of clay. You have the jinn, made of smokeless fire.
And angels.
And angels, the malaika, are made of nur, or pure light.
But the key difference, the thing that changes everything, is the free will, right?
Correct. Humans and jinn have free will. We can choose to disobey God. We can sin. Angels do not. They are literally incapable of disobedience. They don't have the hardware for it. They are perfect, flawless extensions of Allah's will.
So they're like biological robots. Or divine algorithms. They just execute the code, no questions asked.
In a sense, yes. And that lack of hesitation, that utter purity of purpose, makes them terrifyingly efficient. You have angels like Munkar and Nakir. These are not harp players. These are the interrogators of the grave.
The what?
The tradition says that after you die and are buried, these two angels, often described as having black faces and blue eyes, a terrifying contrast, come to your grave to question you.
That is a specific kind of nightmare fuel. What do they ask?
They ask about your faith. Who is your Lord? What is your religion? Who is your prophet? It's a rigorous theological examination. And if you fail, well, it's not good.
And the angel of death?
Malak al-Maut. There is no bargaining with him. He doesn't have feelings you can appeal to, doesn't have doubts. He functions with absolute unyielding precision.
It really changes the vibe of fear not, doesn't it?
Completely.
When an angel shows up in these stories and says, do not be afraid, it's not a warm, fuzzy greeting, it's a command.
It's damage control.
It's like a police officer yelling, everybody stay calm, while pointing a loaded gun.
That's a great analogy. They say, fear not. Because the natural, physiological, human reaction to seeing one of these beings is abject terror. Your body knows it is in the presence of a predator, or at least something so dangerously powerful it could erase you by accident.
Okay, let's talk about that power in terms of how they actually look in some of these visions. We mentioned the seraphim earlier.
Isaiah chapter 6. This is one of the most vivid descriptions we have. The prophet Isaiah is in the temple, and he has a vision of the Lord on his throne. And attending the Lord are the seraphim.
The burning ones.
The word seraph is related to burning, like the bite of a venomous snake burns. These are six-winged beings. They use 2 wings to fly, 2 to cover their feet, which is a common euphemism in the Bible for their genitals, and 2 to cover their faces.
Why cover their faces?
Because even they, as high and as holy and as powerful as they are, cannot withstand the direct sight of God. They are literally burning with proximity to the divine fire.
Wow.
And they are screaming, "Holy, holy, holy," so loud that the doorposts and the thresholds of the temple shake.
That's heavy metal. That is not a gentle choir. But the ones that really, really mess with my head are the Ophanim, the thrones, because they don't even look like living things.
The ones from Ezekiel's vision. This is where all the Bible-accurate angel memes you see online come from.
I've seen them. They're terrifying.
Ezekiel sees these beings that he calls wheels. The Hebrew is Ophanim.
A literal wheel, like from a chariot.
Imagine two massive interlocking gyroscope rings set at right angles to each other.
Okay, I'm picturing that.
So they can move forward, backward, left, or right instantly without ever having to turn. It's omnidirectional movement. And then he says the rims of these giant wheels were full of eyes round about.
Ugh, that is horrifying. Why eyes? What do the eyes mean?
In ancient symbolism, eyes represent awareness, intelligence, omniscience. If something is covered in eyes, it means it is all-seeing. It is hyper-aware. But here's the real kicker. These aren't just guards standing around. These wheels are the transport mechanism for the throne of God. The text says the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels.
So they are sentient biological machines.
Or spiritual geometry. They are living geometric horrors, and their job is to guard the divine presence. If you saw that hovering over your house, you wouldn't feel comforted. You'd probably pass out.
Or, and we'll get to this later, you might think you were seeing a UFO.
You absolutely might.
But before we get to the aliens, I really want to talk about the scandal, the biggest angelic scandal in history. We have to talk about the Book of Enoch.
Ah, yes. The forbidden backstory. The book that got cut from the final edit of the Bible for most traditions.
For anyone listening who doesn't know, the Book of Enoch is an ancient Jewish text that, for whatever reason, didn't make it into the standard Western canon, though the Ethiopian Orthodox Church still considers it scripture. And it tells a very, very different story about angels.
It's like the director's cut of Genesis.
Totally. It takes this one very cryptic fragment in Genesis chapter 6, which just briefly mentions the sons of God coming down to the daughters of men, and Enoch blows this up into a full-blown epic narrative about a group of elite angels called the Watchers.
The Grigori.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because in Milton's Paradise Lost, which is where most of us get our modern ideas about the devil Lucifer, falls because of pride. He wants to be God.
Right. Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven.
Exactly. But in Enoch, the angels don't fall because of pride. They fall because of lust.
Correct. It's a story of transgression through desire, not ambition. There are 200 of these watchers, led by an angel named Semjaza. And they look down from heaven, they see human women, and they decide they want wives.
It's a cosmic neoteny.
It is. They literally make a pact, they swear an oath together on Mount Hermon to go down and take these women no matter the consequences.
And the result of this is monstrous. They have children with these human women, and those children are the Nephilim.
The giants. And the text describes them as being completely voracious. They devour all the food on earth, and they start eating all the animals, and when that's not enough, they start eating the humans.
So they're just engines of pure consumption and destruction.
They are. And this provides the theological justification for the Great Flood.
Right, because usually people are taught that God sent the Bible because humans were being mean to each other. But in this version, he sent it to wipe out a genetic infestation. He had to scrub the hard drive.
Exactly. He had to clean up the corrupted DNA.
Yeah.
But here's the part that I find the most fascinating and the most relevant to us now. It wasn't just the sex and the giants. It was the knowledge transfer. This is the Promethean twist.
This part blew my mind when I read the source material.
It's incredible.
We usually think of technology as a sign of human progress. But Enoch says technology is demonic.
Essentially, yes. In this story, the fallen angels act as corrupting technology transfer agents. They teach humans things we were not ready for, things we weren't supposed to know yet.
Like what?
An angel named Azazel teaches humanity how to mine metal and forge it into swords and shields. Warfare. A technology of warfare. Before this, presumably, violence was limited to sticks and stones. Azazel introduces the military-industrial complex.
So the military-industrial complex is literally a fallen angel invention.
According to Enoch, yes. But it's not just that. They also teach sorcery, root cutting, which is the root of our word pharmakeia, pharmacy, and astrology.
And the really specific one.
And weirdly specifically, they teach women how to use antimony and makeup to beautify the eyelids.
Wait a minute, so the Book of Enoch lumps swords and shields in with eyeshadow. Why? What's the connection?
Think about what both of those things do. They're about artifice. Weapons allow you to dominate your environment and other people through force. Makeup and the arts of seduction allow you to manipulate people through desire and appearance. Both are forms of artificial power. They are ways of altering the natural order to get what you want.
That is a wild and deeply cynical shift in perspective. It reframes civilization itself. In this view, technology and sophisticated culture aren't noble human achievements. They are contraband gifts from bad angels.
It places the blame for evil squarely on external corruption. It's not just that humans are inherently flawed. It's that we were corrupted by this forbidden tech that fell from the sky. We are toddlers who found loaded guns in the attic and started playing with them.
Wow. Okay, speaking of rogue agents and cosmic prisons, we have to pivot from Enoch to the Gnostics. Because if you think Enoch is radical, the Gnostics take the whole angelic hierarchy and flip it completely upside down.
This is straight up the Matrix.
It really is. The Gnostic worldview, which popped up in the first few centuries of the Common Era, is deeply, profoundly cynical about the material world. They looked around at all the suffering, the disease, the injustice, the death, and they said, a perfect, all-loving God could not possibly have built this mess.
It's a failed creation.
So their solution was, the guy who built it is an imposter.
Exactly. They make a distinction between the true God, this unknowable, perfect source of light, way up in a spiritual realm called the Pleroma and the Demiurge, a lesser, flawed, or even ignorant God who actually built this messy physical world.
And the angels in this system.
In this system, the angels, which they call archons, meaning rulers, are not the good guys.
They're the prison guards.
Precisely. They are the jailers of the material world. They stand at the planetary spheres. The Gnostics believed the soul had to ascend back to the true God after death. But to get there, you had to pass through these concentric spheres, like layers of an onion around the earth.
And the archons are there to stop you. They're the bouncers at the gates.
They are. They want to keep your divine spark of light trapped here in the material matrix. They feed on your devotion, your fear, your prayers. So in this view, Michael and Gabriel aren't protecting you. They are enforcers. They are Agent Smith.
That is a terrifying inversion. It takes the comfort of someone is watching over me and turns it into the horror of someone is watching me.
It is, and the whole goal of Gnosticism was to learn the secret knowledge, the gnosis, the passwords, to sneak past them. You aren't praying to them, you are actively trying to escape them.
It's just amazing how the exact same character, an angel, can be a savior in one story and a jailer in the next, just by shifting your perspective on whether the physical world is good or bad.
The context is everything.
Okay, let's move to a different kind of structure. Let's talk about the Kabbalah. Because in Jewish mysticism, angels aren't necessarily people or personalities at all. They're more like circuitry.
That's a beautiful way to put it. That's a perfect analogy. In the Kabbalistic tree of life, angels are understood as emanations. You have the Ein Sof at the top, the infinite, unknowable God. And then that divine energy cascades down through 10 Sephiroth, or attributes.
Like wisdom, understanding, beauty, judgment.
Exactly. And the angels are the connectors. They are the living circuitry. They are the active forces that manage the flow of energy between these different frequencies of reality.
So different choirs of angels are assigned to different jobs.
They are. The seraphim might be up at the top near Keter, the crown, dealing with pure divine will. The malachim might be lower down, managing Teferet, which is beauty and harmony. They're like the operating system of the cosmos.
So you don't really invite a seraph to a tea party. It's not a person. You connect with that specific energy when you need to align with the specific frequency of the divine.
Exactly. It's much more abstract and, you could say, more mechanical than the folk idea of a personal guardian angel. It's about the physics of God.
Which leads us right into ceremonial magic, because the people who were writing these grimoires, these spell books like the Key of Solomon, they weren't just praying for help, they were acting like divine lawyers.
The grimoire tradition is fascinating because it's deeply audacious. The magician isn't on his knees begging for a favor. He is standing inside a protective magic circle, wielding a wand or a sword, and he is summoning these beings. He's commanding them.
I conjure and command you by the great and terrible names of God.
Yes. The logic is entirely legalistic. It relies on the Hermetic principle of as above, so below. The magician believes that by purifying himself and using the correct divine names, the passwords, essentially the source code, he has the authority to command these cosmic forces. He is stepping into the role of a divine administrator on Earth.
It's the art of the deal, but for spirits. I have the authority, you have the power, let's make an exchange and get this done.
But it's incredibly dangerous. The texts are filled with terrifying warnings. If you step out of the circle, if your will isn't strong enough, if you mispronounce a name, the energy can destroy you. It treats angels not as friends, but as high-voltage power cables.
You can use them to power your city, but if you touch them wrong, you're just ash.
Exactly that.
Okay, so we've gone from cosmic jailers to high-voltage cables. Now let's bring it inside the human head. We have to talk about Carl Jung. Because for a lot of modern secular people, angels aren't floating in the sky, they're floating in the subconscious.
Jung completely shifts the location of the angel. He argues that these aren't external alien beings coming to visit us from another dimension. They are internal archetypes. They are fundamental structural components of the human psyche.
So when I dream of an angel, I'm not actually seeing a spirit from heaven, I'm seeing a part of myself.
You are seeing a symbolic representation of the self, with a capital S. Jung believed the psyche is made up of different parts. The ego, which is our conscious identity. The shadow, the parts we repress. The anima, or animus. The angel often represents the transcendent function.
The what?
Transcendent function. It's the part of you that bridges the gap between your conscious little ego and the vast, deep ocean of the collective unconscious.
So it's the messenger, but from the deep parts of your own mind.
Exactly. It's bringing you news about your own highest potential. It represents wholeness, integration. Conversely, demons in this psychological view are just the shadow. They're the repressed, ugly, ignored parts of yourself that you've shoved into the basement of your mind. When they break out, they look like monsters.
So the epic battle between St. Michael and the dragon isn't happening in heaven, it's happening in your therapy session. It's the struggle to integrate your shadow.
In a very real way, yes. And Jung would say the reason this image is so universal, why cultures all over the world see winged men or beings of light, is because our brains are hardwired to project this kind of meaning. We are built to look for guides.
But pop culture has done something really weird to this powerful archetype, hasn't it? We went from these terrifying cosmic psychological forces to Clarence.
Clarence Oddbody from It's a Wonderful Life.
The bumbling, kindly, but slightly incompetent guidance counselor angel.
This is the complete secularization of the angel. We stripped away the fire, the wheels, the judgment, and the terror, and we just left the helper. We turned them into supernatural social workers.
Or just decoration. The commercial angel. The little pin you wear on your shoulder, the ornament for your car's rearview mirror.
Right. It becomes a talisman of vague comfort. Someone is watching over me. And then you have the New Age movement, which takes it another step further. The angel becomes pure energy.
It's all about vibrations and unconditional love.
It's a spiritual service provider. You call on your angels to help you find a good parking spot or to heal your aura.
It's religion without any of the rules. You get all this supernatural help without any of the terrifying judgment of the seraphim. It's very convenient.
It's very consumer friendly, but it loses that raw, numinous, existential awe that you find in the ancient texts. It loses all the power.
Speaking of awe and things coming from the sky, we have to go there now. We have to talk about the extraterrestrial hypothesis, because once you see this connection, you can't unsee it.
The ancient astronaut theory. This is where we put on our science fiction glasses and reread the Bible and other ancient texts.
Okay, let's go right back to Ezekiel. We talked about the Ophanim, the wheels within wheels covered in eyes. If you are a Bronze Age peasant and a sophisticated drone or a landing craft comes down from the sky, how do you describe it? You don't have the words titanium or omnidirectional thruster?
No. You have to use metaphors from your world. You say, it was like a great cloud, but it had fire unfolding inside it. You say, it looked like a wheel inside a wheel, and it could move in any direction without turning.
Omnidirectional thrusters.
Precisely. The argument from proponents of this theory is that the descriptions are actually too technical and weird to be just poetry. They sound like someone trying desperately to describe complex machinery using primitive language.
And it's not just Ezekiel. There are the Vimanas in the ancient Sanskrit texts of India.
Yes, the Mahabharata and other texts describe these flying palaces. Vimanas that could shoot beams of destructive light, travel to the stars, and make terrifying noises. Again, if you strip away the religious gloss, it sounds a lot like technology.
So the core logic is, if a gray alien with big black eyes walked out of a silver spaceship in 500 BC, nobody would say alien. That concept didn't exist. They would say angel, a messenger from the sky.
And this reframes the entire history of religion as a kind of massive cargo cult. That we are, in effect, worshiping the visitors who brought us technology and rules, thinking they are gods, when really they are just very advanced travelers.
But it's not just about ancient history, is it? Because people are still seeing strange things in the sky. And the parallels between modern UFO abduction accounts and ancient prophetic visions are, they're uncomfortably close.
They are strikingly, eerily similar. Let's just run down the checklist. You have a bright, blinding light,
Check.
a feeling of paralysis, the inability to move,
Check.
telepathic communication, messages being put directly into your mind.
Check. A feeling of overwhelming fear followed by a strange sense of awe.
Check.
Fear not.
Exactly.
Mm.
And the messages are often similar too. The ancient angels warned humanity about sin and coming divine destruction. Modern aliens, in many accounts, warn humanity about nuclear war and environmental destruction. It's the same apocalyptic urgency.
There's even the concept in modern UFO circles of the Galactic Federation.
Yes. Modern channelers and contactees often speak of a council of different alien species watching over Earth. Functionally, how is that different from the 9 choirs of angels in Christian tradition or the Council of El in Canaanite myth? It's the same structure. We've just swapped the terminology.
We traded chariots of fire for flying saucers.
And angels for Nordic aliens or Pleiadians. It suggests that the phenomena in itself, whatever it is consistent. It's a real experience people are having. But the cultural vocabulary we use to interpret it changes over time. In the Middle Ages, we saw demons and angels. Today, we see grays and reptilians.
That is a mind-bending thought. That the mask changes, but the actor underneath might be the same. Before we wrap up, I want to try and bridge the gap between the mystics and the materialists. We have to touch on science, specifically quantum physics.
Now, we have to tread very, very carefully here.
Right.
There's a lot of what people call quantum woo out there, using physics to justify any belief. We're not doing that.
No.
But there are concepts in real quantum mechanics that make the idea of non-physical intelligence slightly less laughable than it was under the old clockwork Newtonian physics.
Okay. So let's start with entanglement. Can you explain that to me like I'm 5?
Okay. Imagine you have 2 dice, and they are magically linked. You shake them up and separate them. You take one to New York and the other to Tokyo. You roll the one in New York, and it comes up as a 6. Instantly, and I mean absolutely instantly, faster than the speed of light, the one in Tokyo also shows a 6. They are entangled.
That shouldn't be possible. Information can't travel faster than light.
Einstein hated it. He called it spooky action at a distance.
Ah.
But it's real. It's been proven. And it means that reality, at a fundamental level, isn't strictly bound to a specific point in space and time. This is non-locality.
And then there's the observer effect, the idea that the very act of consciousness or measurement plays a role in collapsing reality from a wave of possibilities into a defined state.
Right. So how does this help us with angels? What doesn't prove angels exist? Not at all.
Yeah.
But it softens the hard materialism of the old view. It suggests that the universe is deeply interconnected in ways we don't understand, and that consciousness might be fundamental to reality, not just a random byproduct of brain chemistry. If consciousness can exist non-locally, could you have a free-floating consciousness, a structured intelligence that doesn't need a biological body?
A being of pure information, or as the texts say, a being of pure light.
Exactly. Under classical billiard ball physics, that's impossible nonsense. Under quantum physics, well, the universe is much weirder and more flexible than we thought. It opens a tiny theoretical door for the possibility of other dimensions or other forms of reality that can interact with ours in subtle ways.
It brings us right back to the shamanic view of the world, doesn't it? The idea that the shaman isn't just hallucinating. He's an engineer of consciousness.
That is a great way to put it. The shaman deliberately alters his state of consciousness, using drumming, chanting, or sacred plants, to tune his receiver to a different frequency. He journeys to the upper world to meet teachers and guides, what we might call angels, or to the lower world to meet power animals. He acts as the bridge.
So while the prophet usually gets visited spontaneously and is terrified, the shaman has the keys to the car. He goes there on purpose.
And that universality, the fact that you find this practice from the Amazon to Siberia to ancient Israel, suggests that this other world is a stable, persistent part of the human psychic landscape. Whether it's inside our heads or out there in the quantum foam, we keep going there.
So after all of this, what does it all mean? We've looked at Mesopotamian winged bulls, Enochian tech bros, Gnostic jailers, Jungian archetypes, and interstellar travelers. It feels like we've circled the globe in all of history.
I think the synthesis is this. The angel is a permanent fixture of the human experience. We cannot seem to exist without this concept of an intermediary.
But why? Why does it persist so stubbornly?
I think it comes down to two very deep, very primal human needs. First, we are terrified of being alone in the universe. The silence of the cosmos is overwhelming. We need to believe that there is someone else in the room with us.
Someone watching.
And second, we have a desperate need to believe that the cosmos has a moral shape, that it's not just random atoms bouncing off each other in a cold, meaningless void, that there's a structure, a hierarchy, and ultimately justice, that someone, somewhere, is keeping score.
That there is a good that is bigger and more powerful than the evil we see every day.
Exactly.
That's a powerful thought. So maybe the angel, maybe it's just the face we put on the infinite so that we don't go insane looking at it directly.
It's like a filter on the lens of a telescope looking at the sun. It allows us to engage with the mystery without being blinded by it. Whether they are aliens, archetypes, or actual messengers of the divine, they serve the same fundamental human function,
They tell us that we matter.
and that we are part of a much larger and much more meaningful story.
And honestly, whether they're made of light or code or just our own desperate hopes, I think I'm glad they're there.
Me too.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into angels. Keep looking up and maybe watch out for the wheels.
Fear not.
See you next time.